disgusting. What the F? We can't let MJ get away with this. The MJ video is a real problem, man. A real problem. 40 years of arguably the coolest legacy ever, and all out the window in 10 seconds. Inconceivable for somebody from my era, for MJ to look like this. It's the price you pay for grabbing kids' butts, I suppose. I mean, that is totally what he's doing here. Being completely serious. This is not funny at all. It's actually gross. What is Michael Jordan doing? I mean, this has been seen by nearly 4 million people. Chill out.
Then as recently as last year, long after the investigations into Epstein and his associates had ended, the figures quoted remained massive. We're looking at a total of approximately 14.6 terabytes of archived data, said another email. A Channel 4 News investigation today reveals that all those pictures, emails, videos and messages released by the Department of Justice, said to be over 3 million pages, may amount to just a fraction of the Epstein material obtained by investigators.
Hey everyone, this is a video for everyone today. So, very important wires. This should make everybody happy. These are very important wires and cables from the Middle East. It has to do with Gaza, it has to do with Israel, it has to do with Trump, the military, and it has to do with this huge, gigantic civil unrest that was intentionally created by the United Nations, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, the deep state, connected to creating this part of Israel, and the real operations behind that connected to Albert Pike, connected to the Freemasons and the usual suspects a long time ago, the Rothschilds, intentionally creating a country that they could use to manipulate the world, to create a country where they could move a blackmail network connected to financial institutions, government institutions, a place that was going to be using a lot of the finances from all the oil inside of the Middle East, and all of this money that was going to be transferred over to the UK, transferred back over to world banking systems, eventually ending back up in Switzerland and coming back into Israel. These different powerful money laundering operations. It's gigantic, it's big. And at the same time, Albert Pike also had it in the plan that they could create Israel, and they could, make the local regions a terrorist threat, and they would create all of these different threats against this new country that they want to form. And eventually, if they wanted to, they could also, annihilate Israel itself. The deep state, the cabal operations, they had planned to build this Israeli state, and then eventually also to collapse it when they needed to in time, to annihilate it. And that would bring in, this huge, gigantic, like pity for people around the world, to really jump on board with all the operations, United Nations, United States, all the way up to different countries around the world, to support, a war on all of the different Arabic nations, Muslim nations in the area, and blame them for this powerful event that would have annihilated Israel. So you can read about this. This is absolutely out there, part of the Freemasons connected to Albert Pike. So anyways, on that front, let's get into some powerful wires. What Trump is really doing inside of the Middle East with Israel, what's going on with Palestine, what's going on with Gaza. These major, massive news also connected to the Pentagon deploying a lot of different networks to different countries, including Afghanistan, Pakistan, including Iran, different places inside of the Middle East. And I'll tell you about those operations that's connected to an alliance operations to stop these PDF operations or the PED operations, these kitty, this stuff, this human trafficking stuff. So, but first let's get into what's really happening. What's Trump's plan, the United States military, to secure peace inside of the Middle East, to protect Gaza, to protect it, that this doesn't keep on happening, that this whole thing is going to stop. Israel attacking, Palestine attacking, whatever's happening, but this huge thing that's causing political unrest, that's causing this huge gigantic commotion connected to people talking about nuclear weapons, being able to bomb each other, annihilate each other, and that could create a whole global conflict of world wars. And what's Trump's plan? Well, what's happening is the Pentagon, inside of their military assessment operations, they're going to create a huge, gigantic military base inside of Gaza, a United States military base with United States soldiers into the thousands that they're going to put there. Now, this has already been reported, but now the plans are already underway. You're already talking to contractors. The financial systems is already being put up. All the money, the assets, everything that's going to be shipped over to this region inside the Middle East for the United States military to be created. That's all happening. The reason that they're doing that is because if Trump, the military, actually puts right in the middle between Israel, the Palestinians, and puts right in the middle in the United States military base with military soldiers and powerful, advanced super technology and weapons, these Arabic countries aren't going to attack no more, to pull off all of these different things that they've been doing in the past 100 years around the regions. The same thing with Israel, constantly attacking different places. This huge, gigantic conflict, civil unrest that's been going on near 100 years in the region. Trump, the military's idea is we're going to put a base there, and we're going to put a lot of United States military carriers there, on the seaside. Then we're going to bring in advanced super technology, and we're going to control the region, because nobody is going to attack Israel. Nobody's going to attack Palestine because the United States is there. And if somebody attacks us, then we're going to use all of these powerful super weapons that they have. From what I'm told, it's already known to Turkey. It's already known to Russia. It's already known to Afghanistan, to India, to Saudi Arabia, to Israel, all the regions in the Middle East. They already know that Trump is controlling powerful technology with the United States military that can annihilate their military operations. These powerful weapons that Trump has, these powerful weapons that USSF has, the Pentagon has, it has the power to annihilate almost any military force in 24 hours. They have these powerful weapons that's connected over to plasma energy weapons, connected to all of this stuff that you guys keep hearing about. Particle weapons, direct energy weapons. But we're also talking about a powerful golden dome that can attack all the computer systems. Not only that, but it can collapse a country. The technology that Trump, the United States military, has, if they wanted to, they could collapse Turkey, they could collapse Israel, they could collapse Iran, and they can actually collapse the infrastructure with powerful technology that can't be stopped with any forms by any computer systems, supercomputer systems, any kind of military systems. Nobody has the technology to stop what the United States is capable of. And it's much bigger than the super soldiers that you guys saw, those weapons, and then also the other weapons that the United States military was using, to stop all their missile systems, defense systems, to freeze everything. Trump calls it the combobulator. I think sometimes Trump just makes up these names out of anywhere, but in the military reports, assessments, wires, there's nobody that talks about a combobulator. So I always find that word funny, but these different systems, there's a lot of them. And Trump was talking about that we have powerful lasers, we have and he was talking about different warships being created that's going to carry this technology. But it's already out there. The satellites with private contractors with the United States, working with different powerful white hats, even around the world, even inside of Italy, working with projects and satellites. The United States controls certain satellites from other countries, and they also have this technology. Now, this technology that can control the grids. I had talked about this a long time ago. I said, the USSF has powerful technology to control other nations' grids, to control their military, to control their computers, to control their weapon systems. So that's what's really happening, is the United States is building this huge, gigantic military base. They're going to create a new infrastructure that's inside of Gaza. They're going to put military forces there, and they're bringing all of this advanced, super technical, super advanced systems into the regions. Now the whole regions, everybody's already been briefed. They know what Trump is capable of, the United States military is capable of. So it's going to ensure peace. This is what they're doing, and they're going to rebuild the whole regions through Gaza. You heard about all of these different hotels, oil development, all kinds of stuff is going to be created, a new pipeline. It's just gigantic what the United States is going to do inside the region, and then also bringing, operations for United States citizens to come in there. Now you're seeing these different parts of the world that's going to be carved out. Trump is slowly taking the Americas to unite together, getting rid of communism, pushing out the CCP operations, bringing down the cartels, then creating a cryptocurrency. Like I said, Argentina, they're already on board. They're already building these systems. So is Brazil. They're already working with the United States financial systems. Behind the scenes, provinces inside of Canada are already planning to unite with the United States. And Alberta is probably going to be the first nation to unite from Canada with the United States. Now, inside of the Middle East, Trump is going to take a part of the smaller region that's going to be controlled strictly by the United States operations. It's going to be kind of a part of the United States. And then later I said, inside of Russia, there's going to be a land that's gifted over to the United States. And they're going to create a super city there before 2040. And the United States people can fly there. It's going to be a new city. It's strange to talk about these things because now you're seeing the power of super soldiers, advanced technology. People talk about bending space and time. And I was telling you, probably the first to tell you that they have these operations already in Greenland. They have these operations over in Antarctica. Russia is already running operations over in some of the coldest regions around the world that exists, and it's inside of eastern Russia and these regions in Siberia. And they're testing this technology that can thaw the ice, the snow, and they can put like a golden dome around this dome, and it controls the atmosphere. And inside that atmosphere, vegetation, oxygen, everything can regrow. With this technology, they want to build cities inside of this. This is a huge development that they want to create far inside of Canada, far up north in Canada, far inside of Greenland, and then the projects eventually that's going to be connected over to Antarctica, which is the operations I was telling you that in South Africa, the operations that they're going to create there, USSF military will be behind the scenes to facilitate these operations that Musk is going to create a base over in South Africa. Now from that region, it's just a little ways to Antarctica, and then they have operations there in Antarctica to use that super advanced technology. So you can see a whole world changing. You can see this whole different new infrastructure that's going to come in, and it's coming in through cryptocurrency. As Trump told you, he's creating a huge, gigantic financial system that's all super growing. The whole thing is growing really quickly. And I tell you, that financial system is coming in. It's already being created. So inside of Siberia, a small region will be gifted to the United States. So people are talking about this behind the scenes. Even Russia, to have a small region inside of the United States, inside of the Americas, that will be claimed by Russia as their land, a small area. So, this talk now, it's everywhere. When we talked about the tripolar world, the Americas, the European, these European countries uniting with the Russian system up on top. On the bottom, Saudi Arabia, India, China, what's eventually going to come out in the future. And then parts of Africa is going to be broken into different sections. That's going to connect all to United States, parts of Russia, parts of China, Saudi Arabia. So that's all happening. Now the wires of what Trump is really doing with Israel, what Trump is really doing to create this huge, gigantic military base, create a new infrastructure that nobody is allowed to touch. Nobody will be able to bomb. And it's going to stop all of this stuff that's been going on for a long time. And even stuff that's people will call biblical, connected to the Jewish people, Arabic people, what's been going on down there with the Israeli people for a long time. Trump is in this moment to secure a 1,000-year peace. Now with the cables that's going across, is the United States has been moving a lot of equipment in the past 3 months, especially the past 2 months. They've been moving a lot of equipment into the Middle East through all of these military flights, arming up the bases, just a lot of stuff, bringing in munitions, bringing missile defense systems. But what's more important is they're bringing in these systems that's going to be distributed over to Pakistan. That's going to be distributed over to, from what I hear, northern India, Afghanistan, Iran, and these Middle Eastern countries. A lot of places where the PDF or the PED operation, the PED0 operations that goes on there with the little children, that they're going to create a coalition. They're going to create alliance with the military. They're going to create an alliance with the highest government officials, and then with the law enforcement agencies inside of these different regions, to ensure that the human movement, all of this traffic stuff that is happening, Trump wants to stop that. The Pentagon is highly invested in stopping all the operations of that moving through the Middle East. Not only moving, but these operations that are openly happening at military bases in Pakistan, inside of Afghanistan, big countries where this is really prevalent. Like I was telling you, You have Nicholas Irving from the military, the sniper, the Reaper, they call him. He talks about all of this stuff on Vlad TV, and this stuff went viral where he talks about, these man love days. That's what they were doing, whether it's with the animals and then what's happening also with the children, that everybody is doing this from law enforcement to military, even inside military bases. Now coming out, what was going on with one of the richest organizations, corporations in the world, Hyatt Hotel, that's for billionaires, and it's run by these billionaire elites, the operations. Last week I told you that Thomas Pritzker is inside the email files, and Thomas Pritzker was talking with General Petraeus from the United States, and General Petraeus gave him 2 helicopters and then gave him some military soldiers to protect him as he went to these PDF parties, these PEDo parties, and he was bragging to Epstein that his birthday wish came true to be with these little boys, and he's going to use all of these toys, and the general is protecting him, giving him soldiers, helicopters, and he was really happy about that. Now that came out, but still mainstream media doesn't want to talk about that because that involves the United States military, and people would be really in shock. But the information's out there. Now, Thomas Pritzker, the head, the chairman of Hyatt Hotels, has now stepped down. So these operations in the Middle East to stop all of these PEDo operations, trafficking operations, United States is highly invested in stopping all of this. If these countries don't stop with all of this blackmail operations, with all of this traffic operations, with all of these really, really dark operations, that's not only about, it's not only about pedo, but satanic operations that is much darker, much deeper. And as you're seeing all the reports now, it goes into cannibalism, it goes into jerky, it goes into adreno, it goes into torture, connected over to Dubai. It's huge, it's massive, these operations, and that's why MBS Mohammed bin Salman was always upset about this. And that's why he initiated those operations to stop the Clinton CIA operations that was running inside the country connected to Epstein, that was blackmailing the royal families inside of the House of Saud. And that's why he killed a whole bunch of his own family member, cleaned out intelligence agencies, and all of this stuff that you heard about that's been actually recorded, that that he was holding people, his own family, hostage, torturing them to get out all the information about the deep state, the intelligence agencies that were corrupt, and this huge, gigantic shuffle inside of the House of Saud, these operations, because they were trying to pull a coup on Mohammed bin Salman, and that coup's connected to the Las Vegas shooting, those operations. Then I was telling you for a long time, inside of Las Vegas, there's pedo operations, sex parties, all of this stuff that's connected to very elite, powerful forces, different countries. And I kept telling you Dubai. Now you're hearing one of the first things come out of Dubai is the Sultan from Dubai that runs Dubai's biggest port. And that biggest port that he's running there, they're torturing, they're doing all of this dark, nefarious stuff. So many women are disappearing in Dubai, but Dubai is probably one of the most heavily surveillance cities in the world with the technology that they're running. It's in the cars, it's in the bathrooms, it's in the taxis, everywhere. They're surveillancing everywhere. And underneath Dubai, there's levels and levels and millions of computers. And you heard John Kiriakou from the CIA that he was in one of those levels, and he was shocked because he was looking at all of these live transmissions, even a car crash that happened, and the police were laughing and they were actually looking at it in live time. So I was always talking about Dubai for a reason. It's big. So going back to this, the United States military in the past 2 and 3 months, they have deployed these new systems that these countries are going to be forced to use. And these systems is going to track everybody. It's going to collect everyone's names. That's part of the PEDo operations, all of this blackmail operations. And those systems with the United States, with the local military intelligence through the regions, that'll allow them who to arrest, banking sectors, who's all involved. It connects to finances, it connects to the politician, it connects to the police. It's kind of like the storm operations that's being created inside of the Middle East, and Trump is saying, here's the technology, use this technology, because you're going to use this technology to stop these operations. People are going to train you how to use this technology. You have to use this technology. If you don't use this technology, I can bring down your whole infrastructure, and I can take apart the whole country. That includes your military, that includes the grid, that includes everything, export, imports. Trump can control everything. That includes tariffs. And that's when the people get angry and there's an uprising. And that's when you have a civil war inside of countries. And they eventually kill the leaders, the generals, people inside police departments. Then they create a new regime. And nobody wants that. There's panic. So right now inside of the Middle East, there's huge, gigantic panic with what Trump is doing. There's huge panic in Afghanistan, northern India, all the way to Afghanistan, all the way to Iran. These several different countries inside of the Middle East. Because Trump is coming and Trump is forcing them to stop these PEDos, these PDF operations, and those kids being transferred worldwide to different places around the world. So, as much as people can't really understand what's really happening behind the scenes, people say, Trump's not doing enough. Trump needs to do this. Trump should do this. The FBI is not doing enough. The Department of Justice is doing nothing. Nothing's happening. Nothing. You've seen the release. There's stuff happening even to royal families from the UK all the way up to Norway, to the ex-prime minister who's facing time because of what was going on between him and Epstein. There's a lot of stuff that's not even being reported. People stepping down from the UK government all the way up to Norway, to different places inside of Denmark, inside of France, inside of Germany. People are silently stepping down. People are silently retiring. People are silently cutting off their connections from the deep state, and the deep state is in panic everywhere over this Epstein stuff. This Epstein stuff is creating chaos, you guys. It's coming out how it needs to come out. So let's get to the next topic. Last year I told you that there's over 10 terabytes that the FBI has they're in possession of. And that's tens and tens and tens of thousands of videos. And they're torture videos. They're very, very dark. Now, mainstream media is picking up the story for once. They're a year late. They're reporting the same thing. It's over 10 terabytes. It's at 14. Some people are saying it's 14.2 terabytes, 14.7 terabytes. Ex-FBI whistleblowers have already talked about this. So this story is gaining a lot of coverage. It's growing. Alex Jones is currently talking about this. The FBI informants and then the whistleblowers that gave him the information also that this is all real. So everything that you're seeing with the Epstein release, the video that's inside the government pages, it's estimated that's only 2% of all the videos that are hidden. Only 2% is what's been released. So there's lots of videos, and the public leaders inside the United States are pushing for the full release. And it's very dark. You guys are hearing about some of the dark stuff. Very dark stuff. Just a few things I'm sure you guys are digging into this. The whole world is digging into the Epstein stuff. It's trending. Netflix, the old Epstein video is #1 in Europe, #1 in Germany. People that never heard about Epstein, they're watching these videos, but that Netflix stuff is just absolute junk. There's nothing about the CIA, intelligence. There's nothing about anything like that, deep state. It's just one person that was involved with all of this stuff.
Join our Patreon or Spotify channel and get the real weekly updates.
So the Netflix, well, at least it's trending. Then people are digging on their own, watching the videos, and people are scrounging. Internet sleuths are scrounging. But the interesting thing about this is reported from different sources, from Nahala all the way up to Ian Carroll, all the way up to Alex Jones. These young kids, these young internet sleuths, these young investigators with their savvy, technical ways, technology, they're learning to break different codes. They're trying different stuff inside of the government systems, because the code that you're given, to open up these different files, they're changing those codes around, and they're actually unlocking files. Another thing that people are talking about is that these PDF files that's released by the United States government, there's a whole set of other files that aren't PDFs. And those other files, I forgot what they were called. Anyways, they're different files, but they're not PDF. People have unlocked those files. Now, those files that they're unlocking, it's showing a lot of gruesome stuff. And you have Alex Jones telling people, his co-workers, like, don't open these files. I've already seen a lot of these files, these new files that people are accidentally unlocking. These, not the PDF files, the MP files. So people are unlocking this, and then people are adding different codes, and they're finding a lot of different videos. And Alex Jones is talking about some of this really, really gruesome stuff that he's seen. And that's why Trump is saying that, that it could collapse the United States, the financial system. And that's what Alex Jones was talking about also, saying that it could collapse, but we need to just go ahead, get it out there, get the information out. And that's what everybody else is saying also in Senate. Excuse me. But the victims, everybody just wants the information out there. And Alex Jones was hinting that the reason why that MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, stepped down is because behind the scenes, Trump told Marjorie Taylor Greene, a lot of your friends are in there. A lot of your friends are in there. And it's better if you step down. So it seems like something was a little bit controlled there for her to step down. But from the cables, the wires that I was hearing for a long time connected to A1 intel sources, was always talking about this powerful new person who's coming that wants to be the president, and he wants to create his own party. Now those operations, MTG, some other people are going to start supporting him, powerful influence are going to start supporting him. And everything was on track. And I told you Musk was planning to also abandon Trump to create his own party. Then you heard about that party came out. Musk wanted to create this party, and people were absolutely talking about that party. Then now everything has changed. Everything is shifting. Now Musk is back with Trump. Now Musk is putting that party, that Patriot Party, aside right now, and people aren't talking about that party. Like I told you, this is the beginning, say, the storm operation. And this is the ending point of the storm operations. The military, through all of these different projects, advanced technology, people call it Project Looking Glass, but that's not the real name. These operations to know what's happening in the future, they absolutely know what's going to happen. And this is the starting point of storm operations. Now, from this point to this point, there's a lot of events that have to happen. These different things, they change plans, change some ideas, they change stuff, change, test. But no matter what, it's leading to this event, a certain outcome that's happening. So whatever's happening, from what I'm told, sources, is that there's still going to be a powerful rival that's coming up, that's going to rival, whether it's J.D. Vance, to rival Trump. There's a power figure that's already going to be moving forward, and he's already there inside the sector. So, interesting stuff. I'll dig into those cables, those wires. I'll let you guys know exactly what's happening with that. This Epstein stuff. People are saying, is he alive? Was he at the jail facility? Did the military come take him out? Did they kill him there? Did they change the body? All of this stuff. I told you a long time ago, from the real intel wires that I got, that Epstein, the military went in there 3 days before the FBI got there. The military went in there, got everything. Whatever they did, they cloned the computers. They took the real servers. They took out everything, whether it was cloned, all the systems, but they took out everything, the military operations. Then they took Epstein out. Now who was left behind? Whoever was a body double. Like I said, doubles have been around for centuries. King, queens, everybody uses doubles. Then with advanced technology now, masses, different things that they can create clones, body doubles. Then the FBI eventually comes in. They get a hold of Epstein. They get a hold of everything. They take Epstein away to New York. All of these different stories, there's so much of different stuff. The capture of Epstein, taking him to a facility. The whole thing is ludicrous because all intelligence agencies around the world knew the storm operations were coming. At the end of 2014, NSA, the dark side of NSA, the deep state part, the CIA, intelligence agencies inside the United States, all the way to Russia, all the way to China, all the way to the Middle East, they all knew that the storm operations were coming, that the military was going to track everything, and that tracking was going to be connected to exposing a worldwide PDF operation ring, PEDo operations, connected to Israel, connected to Mossad, MI6, and they knew that white hats in the military were coming. They knew about this. So everybody knew that there was secret operations beginning, and everybody was going into defense mode. That means that MI6, they went into defense mode. They started vetting everything, everyone, information vetting. And there was a huge, gigantic commotion inside of the Pentagon. Nobody was trusting each other. There was chatter all over the place that perhaps there was some kind of military operation working with intelligence agencies to bring down the world globalist operations connected to blackmail, connected to weapons trade, the drug trade, everything that you're hearing about, even to the virus. So the information was already out there in 2014, and everybody knew about Epstein. Everybody absolutely knew about what Epstein was doing, his connections, who he was connected to, the funding, the operations, J.P. Morgan, all the way to Leslie Wexner, to the Clintons. Everybody knew about this. Even Liz Cheney, everybody absolutely knew what Epstein was doing. They knew about the operations were coming. So what I'm trying to tell you is that they knew about Epstein controlling the information. If the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the globalist operations from the Davos, these powerful syndicate cabal operations of the CIA, MI6, Mossad, very high-level intelligence agencies with trillions of dollars to the wealthiest families of the cabal, they could have took out Epstein at any moment. They could have assassinated him. They could have poisoned him. On that island, they could have used it. They could have used even HARP to create a storm, and in that storm bring in soldiers and kill him. Make him disappear. Make his airplane disappear. Make his boat disappear. His submarine. There was thousands and thousands of ways that they can really, really kill you if they wanted to. The real truth is Epstein was an informant for the white hats. And this is what was really happening behind the scenes. And Epstein on that island was being tracked by the white hats, United States military operations. They were in certain areas really close to him to ensure that nobody would attack him, to ensure that he was safe. All of these operations. However long those operations were happening, towards the end, Epstein is absolutely an informant for white hats. So that's the real truth of that, is Epstein was taking away all the information that he has. The white hats are in full possession of everything. Everything that you're seeing now is kind of confusion. And people are still trying to figure this out. Even people that are asleep inside the government, people that are asleep inside the FBI, people who are asleep inside the Department of Justice. When I'm asleep, I mean they're absolutely unaware of military operations, these world military operations to bring down the cartels, the drug trade, exposure of the pandemic, all of these things we talk about. These people are asleep. So these people are trying to figure out what happened to Epstein, including everybody around the world. So that's why everybody's speculating. What happened? What happened? Whatever happened at New York, the whole thing was just a setup. That wasn't the real Epstein there. Epstein wasn't wheeled out. There was no use for anybody to, even to have Epstein, the world's biggest national security threat. This national security threat crisis for the United States, for the UK, for Canada, for Germany, all the way to France, all the way to Australia, to Israel. This walking, talking national security crisis, PEDo operation guy that was running with intelligence agents, this massive, gigantic threat that can create wars inside of countries, collapse countries, because if the information came out, economies would collapse. People would be in shock about the satanic operations. Nobody in their right mind, whether it's the United States government, the highest levels of United States generals, they know everything. They're not going to allow Epstein, this person, to go to a jail facility, to be watched over by a security guard, just an untrained security guard over here inside of a jail facility. everybody already knew inside of several places inside of New York, whether it's the World Trade Center, whether it's the Empire State Building, or whether it's the jail facilities. There's all of these routes that was created a long time ago, installed intentionally. All of these different back rooms, different chambers, for people to either kidnap people, kill people, to hide people coming in and out of buildings. There's so much different chambers that was created throughout New York City that even go to underground system, underground networks that go over to subway stations. And this is all connected to trafficking. This is all connected to things that are really, really dark, nefarious, having to do with hotels where people just disappear. They go into a hotel and they never come back out. But this was going on for a long time, these different tunnel systems. It goes all the way back to the mafia, back in the early 1900s, the beginning, creation. So, anyways, there's no way that Epstein could have made it to New York. Somebody would have killed him on the way. They could have poisoned him. There's so many different ways they can poison you. They didn't even have to break his neck. They didn't even have to do any of that stuff. He would have had a heart attack, and that would have been the end of it. But there's reason why there's no photos. There's only one photo that's positioned of Epstein. The whole thing is just to confuse people, and everybody is confused. Even the deep state, the FBI, is confused what really happened. The people who are sleeping, the people who don't really understand a lot of things connected to this huge storm operations, connected to the military running operations, connected to special forces. People wouldn't believe it. People can't understand it. So this whole stuff with Epstein, it's just going to keep on creating confusion over at NYC at the jail. The truth is that he was never there. He was taken out a long time ago. All these videos that you see, where he's recording, talking to his lawyers, a lot of it was already made a long, long time ago. So as we're getting back to all of this stuff, Epstein, you're hearing about these files. Lots of stuff is inside of it. And Alex Jones was really talking about one as to where it's so dark and satanic. They're breaking a little child apart by putting their hands on the inside. Alex Jones can talk about this stuff at length. I don't think we need to go there, because you're hearing it everywhere already. The dark, dark stuff. So I just try to give you just enough information. Just enough. Most stuff you kind of figuring out everything on yourself. The jerky stuff, the adrenal stuff, the grape juice, all of these different things connected to Woody Allen. Everybody's scrounging, looking. But some of the top stories coming out is when Obama was in office, and Obama was in office, he had his secret agents. And those secret agents that he had, they got caught inside of a prostitution ring. There were this huge, gigantic scandal erupted. And it was covered all in the United States news that the Secret Service was, securing prostitutes inside of Colombia. And then they all got released. They all got fired. And then there were some military officials that were also there. And what had happened was that the Secret Service had these prostitutes there. And one of them made a mistake, and they didn't pay enough money to a girl. And there it's legal inside of Colombia, certain places. So this girl got upset to it. She went to the hotel manager. She told different people, and she was upset. She was telling everybody. Then eventually the police came in. They had to make a police report that the Secret Service was involved. They didn't pay her. So it blew up, and they couldn't hide this. So the Secret Service was caught inside of the scandal. Now the real truth is coming out to Obama. This powerful story that it was the people underneath Obama. It was people inside Obama's team that was connected to this, to organizing this, the prostitutions. And what they did is they blamed the Secret Service. And the way that was handled was Epstein helped facilitate these operations to create a cover-up. And that takes us back to the story of the lady that was working for Obama, Catherine Rumler. And Catherine Rumler was the counsel for Obama. And she was more powerful than the Department of Justice, more powerful than the FBI, because she was right in the president's ear. And she was running the council around Obama. She had more powerful intel leverage over Obama than the Attorney General of the United States. So Catherine Rumler. Now, last week I reported that in the files she's talking to Epstein. Over 30,000 emails to Epstein, calling him uncle, calling him names, for affiliation, that she's loyal. All of these different emails saying that she got an award from the CIA. She's been awarded now. Every time she was sending through the days, even 4 to 5, 6 emails a day, 30,000 emails. And in this time, when this scandal broke with Obama, that one of Obama's biggest contributors, somebody that was helping finance his elections, a big investor, that big investor's son, his name is Jonathan Doch. Anyways, he becomes part of Obama's team, and he's the one that facilitated all of these prostitutes to come in. And when they got caught, they had to blame someone. And Kathleen Rumor with Epstein, they set up these operations to blame that it was the Secret Service. So this is all coming out. And because of the scandal, Kathleen Rumor had to step away. She wanted to step away from that. And then eventually you have Epstein. That's what get her a job with the Rothstein, with the Rothschilds, I wanted to say, the Rothschilds banking systems. And she goes into those sectors. So this is all coming out, different connections to Obama. That's going to keep on growing. You're just seeing the small tipping point. Everybody's looking through this. All of these codes that people are breaking to go into the government systems to take a look. People switching to MP files, getting videos files. A lot of that are planned military operations. They're using certain people to move information out there. So this can start to really spread out. So that's what's happening at this moment. Everybody's looking through the hidden videos. But like I said, only 2% of the videos have been released. And we're talking about 14 terabytes. And that's thousands and tens of thousands of videos. And Trump knows that there's torture videos. And they don't want to release it because it's super, super dark. It's the darkest stuff of everything that we've been talking about. All of these super, super crazy stuff. Elites running the world. What Putin is talking about. The West is satanic. They have satanic leaders. That's absolutely evil. What Trump was being accused of, saying, well, Trump, are you working with Q? Trump, do you believe that Q is stopping this worldwide PEDo operation connected to Satanism? Do you actually believe in this, Trump? They were questioning him. And Trump was saying, well, it's not a bad thing if it's true, is it? I don't think it's a bad thing that people want to do this. They want to stop this worldwide satanic operations. So Trump was already giving hints a long time ago also that there are operations that he did side. If there are operations taking place, he was saying, well, it's not a bad thing if they're taking this down. So that's what's happening in the news, but I gave you some huge wires of kind of what's happening. And let's just get through a few more things. Something that's really gross, kind of trending. I don't know how to take this. Michael Jordan is probably my favorite basketball player. You know, I enjoyed that time watching Michael Jordan. Later on, you kind of learn more about him, and it could be a lot darker, the story of Michael Jordan. I don't know if we'll ever know what really happened to his father, the way it's portrayed in Netflix, but this has nothing to do with that topic. This has to do with Michael Jordan directly, because there's a video that's trending online of Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan is touching a little boy's butt. He's not touching it like a pat. He's squeezing it, reaching down there, then goes in there again, squeezing it. And up to 8 times, he's squeezing this little boy's butt and then touching his thighs. I don't know how to take that. The reason why is because it's at a public event. Everybody's watching him. There's unless he's absolutely drunk and he's high on something, medication, and he's been smoking cigars for who knows how long, and all of this is creating cloudiness in the mind, and he doesn't know that, that he's being recorded, he's being filmed. So this is what's trending, and people are in shock over it. I can imagine if it's like, inside of sports, inside of sometimes friendship, baseball. So a moment comes, somebody makes a shot and he pat them on the back, or when they run by, they kind of hit their butt. Like, hey, good job. It's just like a congratulational pat. It didn't look like that because he's really squeezing. And I thought, whoa, this is crazy, especially in this time of the Epstein stuff. Nobody wants to be caught, whether it's out of, they were just, it wasn't anything nefarious. It wasn't anything dark. Nobody wants to be in this time caught for something like that, especially if you're a celebrity. So I don't know how to take that. That's all I can tell you. I have no idea. I'm hoping it was innocent, because so far we haven't seen anything on Jordan inside the files. We haven't seen anything. Now, a little bit on this crazy stuff that happened over the weekend. My heart was beating on Saturday night. My little heart was pounding. I had a friend text me from the United States, and they told me the government just released 3 million new files. It's just been released. And I thought that's coming, because the intel report I got that I gave you guys, I said that's coming until later. It's not now, it's going to come till later. So I was in shock. I said, this is really strange. Then he goes, yeah. So I started looking online, and immediately I saw Alex Jones giving a live update. And he gave this on Valentine's evening. And he says that, here's a Valentine's Day. Well, here's a Valentine's Day gift. Well, I'm just going to give it to you. The way he talks. So Alex Jones said, it's a Valentine's Day gift. The Department of Justice just dropped 3 million new files. This is a gift for everyone. Because this is amazing. So I thought, oh my God, I usually I know what's happening before it kind of happens. At least I would have known at least 2 or 3 days before it happened, most things. So I was in shock. I was like, what? So I started looking. I spent about 1 hour looking. I was inside a restaurant eating, and I had to leave because I was just sitting at the bus stop. Then I started looking. Then I contacted a friend. Then they're like, no, I absolutely don't see anything. I thought, I don't see anything. I said, where is Alex Jones getting this from? Where is he getting this intel from? Then I had to go to the files. I looked inside the government files. There was nothing again. There was nothing, nowhere. And it drove me mad for about 3 or 4 hours. Then I was like, this is so strange. It was so strange. And then I usually don't like to contact my friend from Florida, but I told him, I said, I need to send a message. And he goes, yeah, what's going on? So I told him, I said, Alex Jones, what he said, is this true? Then he said, no. I said, no. Then I asked him what's going on. He goes, I don't know, but it's absolutely not true that these files have been released. So I said, okay. So I rested. Then on Sunday, I kind of waited for information to come out, but people were talking about it. There's 3 million files released. People were talking about it, but I didn't see anything, and I wasn't so worried, but people were talking about it. It started trending. More files released, more files released. And what ended up happening was Alex Jones made a huge mistake. That's what I can say. He didn't check it. He didn't look at the files. Wherever he got the information from, he just put it out. And it created a stir. It created a ruckus. And people started sharing this information too all over the place. And there was a little bit of credibility lost because on Sunday night, people were jumping on Alex Jones from different stations to Valhalla. Everybody was upset with Alex Jones, saying that he's another guy that's just covering up stuff, giving false information. This is all fake. And I just thought, oh man, that was crazy. So that's just to set the kind of record straight with that, is that there was no files released. There was just a list that came out with up to 300 names. Now those 300 names has all of these strange names on it. It even has, because it's released by Pam Bondi, and Pam Bondi puts her name in there, is also Pam Bondi's on the list. And I thought, why would Pam Bondi put this out if her name's on the list? Then of course it has Kash Patel, has Musk, has a lot of different people on there, but it just has the names. It doesn't say what happened. It doesn't have anything that there were indictments. There was court procedures behind it. Something having to do with any kind of information that it could give you that these people are involved in something dark that's deeply pertaining to the Epstein list, something really, really, really dark. So even some people's names have ended up there. Alex Jones is in there inside the Epstein list. But he's only in there because Epstein is talking a lot of smack, saying a lot of bad things about Alex Jones. So there's a lot of people's names in there because people are only talking about them, saying something negative about them or something. So their names are popping up inside the Epstein list. A lot of different people. So you have to be aware of that. There's no context to a lot of these names that have been put out. But maybe I'll do a little special for the gold members this week. The information that I know on those 300 names, I'll give you a lot of insight into a lot of those names. The stuff that I know, that's it, and then maybe some other stuff that I heard. But just from my own intel through the years, I'll give you the information on those names. Because, of course, Pam Bondi, eventually she'll be connected over to oil companies from Venezuela. Later in the future, maybe there's stuff that's going to be connected into investments, banking systems, things, people she shouldn't have been talking to. When this goes military, and then a lot of people really have to talk about a lot of things, connections that they were connected to. And eventually Pam Bondi will probably have to face some major criticism from the military. But I don't think it's too deep, her ties. I'm just saying that I know she's involved with these things and she's placed for a reason. The military knows everything, what's really happened in intelligence agencies. 18 intelligence agencies, they absolutely know what's going on with every leader, what's really happening, from Pelosi to Trump to everybody to Kash Patel. These people are installed for certain operations, whether it's to intentionally collapse the Department of Justice, intentionally collapse the FBI through Wray, and then the next operations through Cash Patel. There's a lot of operations that people can't really understand these different things. Like I tell you, Cash Patel is absolutely inside of some dark stuff connected to Muldoon, his gay lover from Las Vegas. But those operations are connected to ensuring from different countries, deep state people who want to flip over, deep state people who want to give information to Trump, that wants to give the information to initiate storm operations in their countries, to work, to find out who they can trust inside the regions. If they're in Dubai, if they're inside Jordan, different places, these gay people, these pedo places, whatever they're doing, they want to speak to official inside of the United States. So they end up connecting over to Cash Patel because the deep state knows. They say, well, Cash Patel, we know that he's compromised because of the gay guy he's with and the parties that they're running in Las Vegas over to Dubai, the dark stuff there. Cash Patel has connections to a very dark source. So most likely, if you need to talk to someone, go to Cash Patel. So that's why Cash Patel was really positioned, is because he's getting information between dark sources, and then they're initiating storm operations for other countries, giving intel information to different police department, military, intelligence, to different countries, and they're going to initiate their own storm operation, arrest wars, and the time to come. So everything kind of confusing. Everything is really mind-blowing of what's really happening behind the scenes. And I gave you some very important intel of what's Trump's real plan inside the Middle East, you know, to put the United States in there to create a safety wall. And these Arabic countries would never dare attack it with the United States directly there, directly present with their base operations there, United States citizens, military soldiers there. And then eventually they're going to create powerful operations inside the Middle East, connected to Saudi Arabia, connected to new operations in Iran, connected to Turkey, and they're going to facilitate operations. These operations to facilitate is to stop the terrorist organizations, to stop all of this stuff connected to all of these different militias, connected to extreme terrorist groups, the dark side of this religion of this Arab religion stuff, you know, connected to jihad, all of this stuff. There's a huge plan to turn the Middle East into a safe zone, a safe corridor, to rebuild the culture, to have everybody work with each other, and to grow those operations. And that's most likely connected to a stable financial system, cleaning out the governments, cleaning out the military sectors, getting rid of the pedo operations, the blackmail operations, this huge dark stuff that was going on inside the Middle East for a long time. There's a huge plan to save the world, you guys. At this end of this video, inside the Epstein files, it's been uncovered that Epstein was using the White House government computers. He was using everything that's official from the White House, you know, underneath the White House letterheads, White House documents, White House computer systems, and he was sending memos all over the place, directly being inside the White House. You know, someone gave him all the clearance codes. He was allowed to use the White House facility underneath Obama, the letterheads, to send out different letters across the world, send out memos across the world. Now, here's a report that I'm getting on this also behind the scenes, is that he was also doing this in the UK, that he was also doing this in a few different countries, including Israel. So it's just strange that a lot of countries are allowing Epstein to be directly inside of their government facility at the highest level, inside of whether it's inside the White House, whether it's inside the highest places inside of Britain, that he was allowed to access their government systems and directly, it's just mind-boggling that they actually allowed this to happen, because people are going to be talking about this. This whole thing is going to keep on growing with Epstein. It's just a small beginning point of the saga, and it's kind of a headache because it's scary when we're talking about this satanic stuff, that it's actually real. And I try not to share the images, the videos, because I don't want that energy to be coming from my side, to haunt people, to scare people. You can find those images, those videos everywhere else. Every now and then I might show you just a small, tiny clip of what's going to be uncovered, but I try not to share things that's going to get me kicked off of here. But more than that, I just don't want to share those images, those videos that are really, really dark. I'm not interested in sharing that. I've seen enough stuff already, you guys. I've seen this years ago. I've seen stuff inside the underground, inside the deep, dark net, stuff that will haunt you, and I don't want that to be on anybody's conscience because of me. But we're moving towards this. Everybody's talking about this, and it's growing, but I gave you guys a lot of inside stuff of what's happening behind the scenes, you guys.
Solution where you let Palestine and Israel keep doing what they're doing will inevitably end in more bloodshed. It just will. Either you move all the Jews out and you get rid of Israel, and that's full of bloodshed and problems, or you let Israel ethnically cleanse and genocide Gaza, and that's duh. And so what Trump is doing is he's stepping in and putting the American military in Gaza and taking Gaza as an American space. And if you really think about it, that actually takes a huge amount of power away from Israel if you do that with a uncorrupted American government. In order to be uncorrupted, you'd have to do things like shut down USAID, hamstring the CIA, arrest Jeffrey Epstein, You'd also have to expose their media control over the narrative, so that way we can have an accurate assessment of what's really going on over there. And if you did all that and put American boots on the ground in Gaza, not only would Israel no longer be able to raid Palestinian homes in the middle of the night and take children prisoner for no reason, they wouldn't be able to carpet bomb civilian infrastructure because it'd be full of Americans. They wouldn't be able to block foreign aid into the country because it would be Americans. They wouldn't be able to gang rape Palestinians because they'd be protected by Americans. They wouldn't be able to occupy and continuously settle more and more land, at least in Gaza, potentially not in the West Bank because it would be Americans. And Hamas, which has been propped up by Israel and the corrupt deep state here in order to continue and perpetuate this conflict, would no longer be in control in order to perpetuate this conflict because it would be Americans.
Join our Patreon or Spotify channel and get the real weekly updates.